comedy.
The familiar scene in Belfast city centre on the 12th. Thousands of orange men and women and their bands on the march to the field at Edenderry. Not so familiar was the hot sunny weather enjoyed by those on parade and the spectators. A few hours earlier, the lodges from the Balnafie district were marching towards a more controversial route, the Lower Ormeau. Earlier, the police had cordoned off the entire route through the mainly nationalist area, keeping protesters well back from the procession.
What gave the orange men permission to walk down our road when we can't even go to the shop to get a pint of milk? You know, was it mob rule? Was it the threat of 30,000 orange men doing damage in Belfast?
Apart from a brief incident when some stones were thrown over the police lines at the orange men, the parade passed along the Lower Ormeau without further incident. There were cheers when the Balnafie lodges eventually linked up with the main parade at the City Hall. Thousands of people turned out to watch the annual spectacle as they basked in the sun. There were all sorts of protective creams being applied, and there was entertainment from some of the more acrobatic band leaders. A group of loyalist protesters joined in the parade for a time, calling for the release of paramilitary prisoners. They say they'd been given permission to highlight their campaign at the 12th demonstration by the Order's Grand Master, Martin Smith. But most people were on the lookout for a relative or a friend as the ranks of marchers passed through the streets. It may have been a boyfriend or a husband, or maybe just your dad. Some youngsters just couldn't help getting carried away by it all. As the temperature rose, many of the brethren were probably wishing they'd slipped into something cooler themselves. As always with the Belfast parade, flute bands dominated the occasion, and once again Scotland was well represented on that particular score. Each lodge has its own unique trademark. Its banner. And lodge members take great pride in carrying it. But sometimes it helps to find an easier way. Many are painted with scenes depicting historic moments in the birth of Orangeism. But Dan Winter's cottage proved too broad a canvas for this lodge.
Clifton LOL 13 from North Belfast can boast that theirs is the first women's lodge to have a banneret, and they take great pride in showing it off. But not having one doesn't put the other women's lodges off. To them, the 12th of July is about taking part, and demonstrating their convictions is what's important. They came from all arts and parts to today's celebrations. The procession even included a lodge from Canada. But the prize for the Orange man who travelled furthest to take part in the parade goes to the representative of the Grand Orange Lodge of Ghana. By the time the head of the procession was nearing the field at Edenderry, they were glad of the little bit of shade afforded by the trees. And the spectators who'd been waiting patiently showed their appreciation for those who'd made the long trek. As in all the other demonstration fields across the province, this was where you recharged the batteries, found a place to relax, and take time out. But for some, the blistering heat would mean a painful walk home. Many Orangemen said that this particular 12th, coming as it did after several days of rising tension and controversy, was special compared to previous years.
I certainly think it has. There is a difference, because when you walked up from Twelfth Street out to the field, you could feel that the people, you could feel that they appreciated the fact that we had got to here, and they were saying to the Orange institution's right. That's what you felt when you were walking in the middle of the road, that the people on the side were saying to the Orange institution's right, and we're glad you took the stand that you took.
Do you think there were more people out watching today because of that?
Yes. I believe that people are telling us a story today that as I say, the stand that the Portadown men took, and then the Larne men took, and everyone else took, they were telling us that we were right.
The atmosphere today was good, but I would always feel at Belfast the atmosphere is good. The crowd is always, that watches, is always good-humoured. But today there may have just been that special uplift, because it has been seen that the Orange Order has given a lead to the majority population.
Well, I think people's walking with there's a brisk in people's step. People's happy to be walking today. And I think it's because they've seen that Portadown was a turning point. I think Portadown shows that the Orange isn't dead. The people has a chance. People's had a chance to show that you can't rule this country without the majority people. It takes the majority people. I think that's what it showed.
I suppose it must have, yes. Perhaps it's added a little bit of edge to it, but it's still very good natured. Very good, actually, most enjoyable, and the weather has helped tremendously. Very good spirit.
Probably a spring in our step by virtue of the fact that the Almighty has lifted up his countenance to shine on us today after so many bad 12ths, actually. And I think the people are relishing that. Subsequent to that, I would also say that I'm a Christian, and a Christian organisations. We stand on biblical truth. We don't constitute a threat to anyone.
There was no mistaking the extra special significance the Orange demonstration had at Loughgall today. At one stage over the last few days, it was planned to hold the annual County Armagh celebrations in the fields beside the Drumcree Church in Portadown. Happily for all concerned, that impasse was resolved. The deal brokered there held this morning when some of the Portadown lodges gathered at the Corcrane Orange Hall. All were relieved that the last few days were behind them, but some more than others.
I'm delighted now that the problem has been solved and that there's peace, and I look forward to peace now for the days to come.
After a few symbolic steps in the direction of the Garvackie Road, they marched on an alternative route into the town centre on the way to Loughgall. Across on the Garvackie Road, a small gathering of local people pronounced themselves satisfied too. The Orange men were given a big send-off in Portadown itself, where the talk wasn't of a compromise, but of victory, and today's rerouting was down to the lodges themselves.
The decision was made because we didn't want to cause any more hassle for our fellow citizens and get back here to